More evidence of supply constraints in Australia today when it comes to gas. Is this evidence that the price cap is the wrong approach? What you really need to do is do everything you can to boost supplies rather than cap prices?
Not at all. Though, Chris, if you can come up with a way in which supply can be increased and a new gas field come online in the next month, then I'm welcome to hear it. It's
well,
a bit of a silly argument, frankly.
But states, as you know, Labor and Liberal and other governments have been very antagonistic towards gas projects. And, yeah, you can't fix it quickly, but surely additional supplies are the answer.
Of course additional supplies are important, and we're working those issues through. But the former government was there for 9 years, 3 terms. Just can you tell me what the new gas fields that were open when they were in government were? I'll wait a while, Chris. I've seen the comments. I've seen the comments from the opposition.
Well, I've been very critical of opposition and government energy policies, and I suppose it gets to this net zero agenda and the renewables push we've seen from everyone. You talk about Australia as a potential renewable energy superpower. We've seen what's happened to the Sun Cable project, which seems to put the lie to that. And I just wonder, given that no country on the planet, if we put aside a couple of hydroelectricity lucky nations, no country that's tried to deliver renewables plus storage as a viable energy option, no one has succeeded. They've all run into problems and they're now desperately getting nuclear or additional gas or additional coal. Why do you think Australia can succeed when no country has in the past?
I'd encourage you, Chris, to have a look at Tiki Fullerton's article in the Australian today about what's happening with gas and the response that is taking place in Europe, in places like Germany. But what we're seeing, of course, is a spike in gas prices as a direct result of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That is what we're dealing with at the moment. And we have, with regard to gas supply, we have a guarantee through the heads of agreement that was made with the gas suppliers to supply some 3 times what the shortfall was going to be seen to be in 2023. That agreement is in place. The price cap was agreed,
talking about your ambitions.
Not just by... Well, you want to talk about what other countries have done, Chris.
Well, I'm talking about the ambitions of a renuables plus storage model. It hasn't worked anywhere.
What other countries have done what other countries have done on the issue in which you raised of gas, and what we haven't done is do the UK Conservative Party government model, which is a massive tax, a windfall tax, and then rebates. What we did was a sensible proposition of price caps that were agreed not just by Labor, but by the New South Wales Liberal government, legislated across the chamber, was supported by the Liberals, the Nationals, as well as the Labor opposition in New South Wales, and we've regulated in Queensland as well to deal with the immediate issue that we were confronted with. In the medium and long term, what we're having is increased investment in renewables. I do note in the national energy market, the ACT, where I'm from, speaking to you from here in Canberra, they haven't had the problem with energy spikes because the growth of renewables here in the ACT has been so successful. Now, you need a combination of renewables, you need storage, you also need some stabilising fuels, particularly gas plays a role in that. That's why when we announced the safeguard mechanism that you'd be familiar with was founded by the Abbott government, came up with that proposal. That's the structure we're putting in place.
As I say, we all support the aim, but I'm checking now on my phone the national electricity market at the moment. Over 65% of the energy is coming from fossil fuels, coal and gas. You promised to reduce electricity prices by $275 in the election campaign. They're now gone up by that much and expected to go up that much again. Will you take responsibility for the electricity prices that exist at the time of the next election?
News flash, Chris. There's been a war in Ukraine, a land war in Europe that has had a global impact on prices. And because Australia didn't do what Western Australia did and reserve a portion of its gas for domestic use, Australia has been exposed to the international price. So even though the costs of production have not increased in Australian, be it gas or coal, you had a considerable increase in the price. That's had an impact for consumers, of households, but also of businesses. That's just a fact. We wasted 10 years, Chris, as you know, in not having an energy policy. Australia now has one. It's one that's supported by the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Australian Industry Group and the Business Council of Australia, as well as conservation groups and sensible people in the mainstream of Australian politics. It's not supported by the Greens, it's not supported by Peter Dutton's Liberals, but it's supported by the mainstream of Australia.
I think we got rid of a hell of a lot of dispatchable energy, which has been a big problem. Prime Minister, finally, how will you be...
And who did that occur under, Chris? Who did that occur under, Chris?
I keep telling you...
Who did that occur under for 9 years?
I keep telling you, I don't have a dog in this fight. I think Coalition and Labor governments, state and federal, have messed up our energy policy for a long while, and I fear the pain ahead.
Because the market, Chris, remember years ago they used to say, Josh Frydenberg used to stand up in Parliament and say, what about Liddell Power Station, everything else? And they've shut on the former coalition government's watch.
Yeah, it's a worry.
There wasn't a single new coal-fired power station built.
No, they were blowing them up
during the last decade.
They were blowing them up.
That's not our fault. That's not our fault. The market was heading in that direction, and business make decisions based upon the market. And it's a market economy we live in, and that had consequences for our supply, because 4 gigs left the system and only 1 gig came on, and that had an impact on supply here in Australia. What business wants is certainty. We are giving them that certainty.